Hey, church family. Ever hear the expression, the straw that broke the camel's back? It's a phrase we use when we experience an overreaction to something. You probably used it, but even if you haven't, you most likely experienced it. Perhaps it was with one of your children. Maybe it was with a coworker. Maybe it was with your spouse. The issue that you're presented with is something that may only have been mildly annoying at first or a little bit frustrating. The problem is it was just the final link in the chain and you blew up. You exploded. You yelled. You threatened. Your reaction was disproportionate to the issue with which you were dealing. Most likely, you've been on the receiving end of this as well. Someone blew up at you when from your viewpoint, the kind of reaction that they showed was entirely unwarranted. The question is, how do you react when that happens? Many times, the initial reaction is surprise, but then that quickly gives way to anger and maybe bitterness, sometimes accompanied by a sense of victimization at having been treated so unfairly. And in the midst of it all, we start to make assumptions, usually about the person who's blown up at us. We assume that he or she is a jerk, or at the very least, they aren't as nice as we thought they were. We assume that they're ill-tempered, or impatient, or just plain rude. Now, those things may or may not be true, but there's one thing we should always as Christians assume when we're on the receiving end of such an overreaction. We should assume there's something more going on. Rather than assuming things about another person's character, we do better to assume that this overreaction we've experienced has less to do with us and more to do with whatever that person is currently dealing with. In Ephesians 4, God calls us to get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, we're to be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God, through Christ, has forgiven you. The next time you're dealing with someone who's just experienced that straw that broke the camel's back, I pray that you'll try demonstrating kindness, forgiveness, and compassion, and that you'll see the difference that can make. Amen.